Hello, my name is Jeff Rolka. I want to thank you for checking out my video. Recently I did an edition of Community Questions, and the question was put to me, what can I do to sing besides sing? And I thought, you know what? And I answered it in the context of the community questions, but I thought there's an opportunity here for me to elaborate a little bit more on this, because I think that question has some subtleties to it which we could all perhaps benefit from for a little reflection. So I'm going to do that in this short, quick tip video. I want to thank you if you've chosen to subscribe. If you haven't yet, I hope you'll choose to do so now, and do ring the bell. It really helps the channel and I greatly appreciate it. There are many other ways to support my channel. Those are in the description. And for those of you in the past who have enjoyed my monthly newsletter over at jeffrolka.com, where you can also try out my AAA method, which is free, I deleted that email list accidentally. And if you'd like to continue to receive that newsletter, I'm afraid you'll have to go back and re-sign up. You will get the new passwords, by the way, for the method. If any of you have been locked out, the passwords were upgraded. It was a way for me to maybe find other people who hadn't seen my announcement on YouTube and get their attention and say, hey, these are the new passwords. If you want the newsletter, just sign up over there. It's all good. So thank you so much. The quick tip, the super truncated version of this, is have a functional understanding of the reading of music. That's it. Just a functional understanding of the notes that you are singing in on the staff and the durations that are represented by the different note heads and things like that. That's the quick tip. If you'd like to know why this is helpful, that I shall do now. But that is the quick tip. Now, the why we can elaborate on more fully. And this was what I really contemplated when that question in Community Questions came in. There are a couple different segments that I'm breaking it down into for you here. Now, for those of you who already read music, I realize that I am preaching to the choir. I've been waiting all day to deliver that. I'm going to call it a joke. I realize that many of you may not think it's a joke because the humor level on that is definitely kind of tapping low. But, you know, we're the choir, preaching to the choir. I digress. So, first of all, functional reading of music. Let's have a look at the staff. Most of us will be reading music in treble clef. That's that big scroll. Now, believe it or not, that is meant to resemble the note G. And the scroll itself circles around the G. So in a way, we always know where to begin. That circular bit is telling us that's the note G. As long as you can identify the notes going up and down from there, then you'll be able to figure out what note it is that's in the music, or find it and then find it on the piano and then find it on the staff, so you can begin to develop an understanding of where your voice operates in relationship to the notes on the piano. This is incredibly helpful for a number of reasons, which we are going to go over here. But once again, functional understanding, rhythmical values, understanding note value, just so that you can concretely know the duration of your notes and when you are meant to enter if there are rests, and you have to learn the rests too. There are rests before it. This means that you can adequately anticipate your entrance. In other words, you'll be super prepared. You'll have your expansion, you'll have your engagement, and you'll be ready to start singing at the appropriate time. In addition, knowing the duration of the note that you are meant to sing means that you will know in advance how much air you will need, whether or not you need to be strategic about taking breaths in advance of that long note. So if you've got a lot of really short-ish phrases where you can take little sips of air, knowing that you've got a long note at the end, then you'll be well prepared for that and you will not run out of air in your longer phrases. Additionally, if you had high notes in the phrase, you would then know that you've got to take a little bit air in advance, a little bit more air perhaps in advance, because notes that are higher up in our range typically take a little bit more airflow than those that are in more comfortable areas of our voices. Now there's a resource that I typically recommend. It's a website, musictheory.net. I've been referring folks to that website for years, as long as I've found that website, which is getting on for about 10 years ago or so at least. That website has been an incredible resource, and the person who created it, I believe, also has an app. I would encourage you to support them. I have nothing to do with them. This is just a totally gratuitous shout to musictheory.net. I'm not affiliated, I'm not sponsored, I have no connections whatsoever. I just think that they've done really great work and should be recognized for it. So, a functional understanding of reading music. Bonus points for correlating your pitches to the piano so that when you're singing a melody, you can not only know, oh, that's a C, that's an E flat, that's an F, but you can then look and say, oh, okay, I see here that E flat and the F are kind of in the general vicinity of my secondo passaggio. Ergo, I need to make sure that I am planning ahead so that I have enough space and enough air in order to sing through that phrase effectively and make sure I've got good release of the vocal mechanism and I am modifying my vowels appropriately. Now, true, after you've done this for a while, it will become habitual and you'll have a kind of sense of where things are, and you won't necessarily have to always pull the songs apart to this degree to get good vocal function. But in establishing that vocal function, this can expedite the whole process. And if there were an underlying kind of additional quick tip for those of you that are still hanging on, it's that if you develop this functional reading of music capability, it will help you be more efficient in your practice, more efficient in the learning of music. In other words, everything will go more quickly. You'll be able to move faster in your progress and in your learning of material. Everything gets facilitated by having that understanding. Moving along, music theory is another aspect of the question that came in, what can we do besides singing to get better as singers? Having an understanding of music theory, chords, scales. I know that today it's very popular to talk about things as chord theory versus scale theory and things like that. In my opinion and in my studies, nearly all music theory is derived from the major scale. For example, if I play my major scale, or one major scale I should say, if I start that scale on the 6th scale degree, that is the natural minor scale. If I want to be in that key, and I want to really concretely establish it, I will borrow the major 5 chord from that key. So I played C sharp minor, and then I used a G sharp major chord to firmly establish the tonality. That gives us the sharped 7th scale degree that we encounter in the melodic minor scale and also the harmonic minor scale. I don't want to get too much into the weeds of all the music theory, but the point is, having an understanding of it can make it easier to remember your chord progressions, to remember your melodies, and therefore easier to remember when the tricky bits of the songs or the tricky bits of your vocal melody are going to be happening so that you can, again, adequately be prepared and execute them effectively. There's a lot of different other reasons that music theory is helpful to us, I think, particularly as vocalists, more so perhaps than other instrumentalists, knowing the key areas and knowing the melody in a music theory capacity then allows you to pick your keys more carefully. So if you've got a top note of A above middle C, and you know that the vocal melody goes up to the fifth of the scale and no higher, and you want to make sure that you are going to leave yourself a little bit of room for error there so it's a bit more comfortable. You don't want to like push yourself to the limits on this particular song. Then perhaps C major is a good key because the fifth of C is G natural. Therefore, you're only just going to get to within a major second of what is your top note in your vocalizations. Making these decisions is greatly facilitated by having a functional understanding of music theory. Again, drawing correlations from what you understand theoretically to the piano will help even more in terms of your vocal progress. Finally, what else can we do to get better as singers without singing? And this one is a big one, at least for myself it is, although I think singers a lot of times do this quite naturally, but we don't take it to the next step, and that is to transcribe. Many of us will learn songs by rote. In other words, we'll listen to someone whose music we are fond of, and we will learn to sing along with them. We will sing along while we're listening to the track, and then we will emulate them. And then maybe we test ourselves by trying a karaoke track or playing the accompaniment on the piano ourselves or guitar or something to that effect. However, if we take it to the next level by writing out that melody, again, using that functional reading of music skill that we've developed, then we can compare that to the notes that we have correlated from our own practices and our own vocalizations. See where the overlaps are, see where the challenges are, see where that artist has particular licks or runs or riffs that would work really well for us, and then choose to learn them perhaps with the idea of modifying them to give them our own spin, or just learning them for the pure joy of learning about that particular artist. It's these things that we do when we are not vocalizing, not actively singing, that I think can have the greatest impact on us and our artistry. And I hope this helps. As always, you can get in touch via Twitter or my website, jeffrolka.com, and I thank you for checking out my video. I hope this has been helpful. Take really good care of your voices. Enjoy singing. Hopefully, we'll see you again. Bye.